Rowan works at a good coffee shop and wants to be a singer, but just lost his boyfriend and has friends that pick him up and want to bring him out of this pit of grief. Enter Mag, played by Jan DeWitt, an old friend that was an old flame in middle school, and she's a bit obsessive to the point that she tries to take over his life. Oh, it's an obsession. It's an obsession. She's a hag that haggles and tries to get him to herself. It's an obsession. It's a to-be original that's named Hag, and it's directed and written by Sam Wyman and features Ryan de Villiers, who plays Rowan, who has lost his boyfriend Tucker and basically is looking for a roommate because he lives in a posh apartment condo thing, something or other, that basically is just in some area of, well, LA or the surrounding environs. And he also has dreams of being a singer-songwriter. There's also a weird, creepy guy named Davey. Not, I'm Fucht. Brett is Fucht. Not that Davey. He's played by Darren Meyer. And there's also some friends such as Opal, Adore Delaro. And we do also have the main, what turns out to be antagonist of this whole goddamn thing, Mag, played by Jan DeWitt, who was in Boy Kills World. She has very beautiful eyes, I want to say that much. And there are also other people in this. Aja Talijard, who plays Casey, or K-A-C-E, Case. He'll have weird names in this particular film. And it, I assume, is some kind of send-up of stalker films where it has a little bit of horror, a little bit of humor, and a little bit of rock and roll. Rock and cliche rolls, arf arf. So when it comes to Tubi originals, you know what you're getting into. I will say this is a few cuts above most Tubi originals. But that being said, while it's above, say, something like Glamping, and while it has a few moments of humor, this also seems like a movie that has a concept that sustains several major head injuries. It has a 95-minute runtime when 80 minutes would have worked out just fine. Jane is actually doing pretty goddamn well, all things considered, having a blast as Mag. It has obvious twists and obvious things going on, but it just feels like it's stumbling and trying to, stretch out its own runtime, when again, a shorter runtime probably would have worked in its favor. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, though. And it was what it was. So, I'm going to get into spoilers. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, we do also have a guy named Brady that ends up kind of becoming a pseudo-love interest for a bit. But yes, Rowan lost his boyfriend. Rowan also used to be known as Ryan. There's a bit of a theme of Mag showing up and calling him Ryan because she knew him as Ryan, but now he is known as Rowan. We don't dead name here. That's just what we do. And I did note Jane. I mean, my God, beautiful eyes. Good grief, beautiful eyes. So she basically is posing as somebody that he knew. I mean, he thinks that she's somebody that he used to know, somebody that he used to know. So, she kind of knows a lot about Lil. She knows enough to keep up the facade for a bit, but it's pretty obvious she's totally goddamn off. They reveal, or he reveals rather, Tucker was drinking a bunch and choked on his own vomit. We call that the David Von Erich method. And then the thing about this movie is it has elements of decency, like, decent filmmaking. Like, this isn't badly filmed. It's not badly done. It just almost feels like a short film than anything else. So Brady at the gym kind of has a thing for Rowan, shall we say, and they end up forming a bit of a relationship. And so Mag basically knew him in the 9th grade, knew Rowan, that is, back when he was Ryan, and that was the first time that she really felt any kind of affection. It just, again, there are just there's so many red flags in this whole thing that almost makes me think this has to be a satire, but it's not the best satire. She redecorated his whole place. And then she has, like, some other element type things, or, kind of goofy stuff, like a tiger's eye thing for protection, like for Roman soldiers. Oh, this isn't a fairy tale. If you question anything she does, she starts to get angry and whatever, but she says it to herself. Until things start to come out, like where she says, I always say something that turns out to, well, kind of comes out and it ends up embarrassing me. And she then asks him how he gives head, and does it with a banana. And I don't know why in the world we need whatever. Is this supposed to be funny? I mean, it is what it is. So Davey is a pseudo-record executive and promises him a big deal if he'll basically blow him. Well, there's also a spy camera that he uses to record people. By the way, there are not that many people in this movie, yet everybody seems to know about it, but they can't prove it. And Mag later gets information about that, where she's going to do something about it. He gives her Tucker's old necklace. There's a girl named KC that shows up that's like his twin. Even though he's not, even though they're not by blood, you don't need blood to be family. And during a thing with Opal, I did like at least the actor playing Opal. At least seemed to be having fun. I wouldn't actually have minded seeing that character in a spin-off movie, because sometimes that character is more interesting. But then there is a threesome between Brady, Mag, and Rowan, which, okay, whatever. You're not going to get me to complain about Jane. Jane is a good-looking woman. She is. I mean, it's impossible to ignore. So Casey shows up, and that's where the jealousy really goddamn starts. She mentions how she always gets an apple before she goes, or an apple, for her run and stuff like that. And Opal basically tells, is going to tell on her about, like, how she's kind of putting on a facade. She's not the high mucky-muck she claims to be. She's doing some stuff, but Opal's kind of out for their own thing. And that turns out to basically bite them in the ass a little bit later. And, yeah, him and Brady are having a LARP, basically. Mag is starting to fracture a lot more. Ripping her nail, her skin, this kind of stuff. That was some good imagery, a little bit uncomfortable, I'll say that much. And Casey tries to find out more about her, but as she does, Rowan blows it off because, like, oh no, it's totally fine. No, it's really not. He really should be very clear about this. But then Casey ends up eating this apple that apparently is poisoned, or like has something in it, and she instantly says, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's not even like in a few minutes. It's like, boom, but she's fine. She's okay. She was taken to the hospital in plenty of time. And then he checks and finds that she has a whole bunch of extra IDs and crazy shit like that. And that's when things really start ramping up. I mean, a little bit fun, not necessarily great. It turns out she bought the condo, but he can live there for free. How did she afford to do this? Who knows? She then also says that she blackmailed Davey without actually saying it. And she had all those IDs to launder money and whatever, I guess. They don't really go much of anywhere with this stuff. You could zone out about, on a third of this movie and not really miss anything. But, so, it turns out that one thing she does is she basically ends up taking out a bunch of the competition eventually. Opal had made it clear that no, there's no free drinks, no stuff like that or whatever. Opal had wanted to get in on this music stuff because they're out for their own things. And then there's this telegraph thing about this bucket of bleach for cleaning where she's not supposed to get, he wasn't supposed to give out free drinks, so Rowan ended up getting either canned or whatever it was. And Opal ended up getting knifed in the midsection. And then a tube there and a tube there. And it's like, what is that? No free drinks? And that was kind of funny. I don't know why. And then for some reason, even though she's killing for him, Rowan isn't accepting of this, even though she hasn't told him. And he wants to go see Brady, but then Brady has Mag over because Mag got beat up, and oh, it's him. But it's not him, and nobody would believe that, but it's fine. And she gets exposed. Casey is still alive, so Casey's out of the hospital. And then basically Mag decides to kill Davey by making him choke on his own vomit and everything in the sauna. So, I mean, there are worse ways to go, I suppose. And then she's just basically killing indiscriminately, trying to basically get full on revenge. Either get Rowan for her or Ryan as she knew him or whatever. And the LAPD show up because she's basically been trying to frame him. And now it is one final showdown. Casey, Rowan, and Mag just happens to show up. Time for you to sashay away was a line that was actually used. And Rowan has a gun because he referenced having a gun, having very Republican parents earlier in the movie. But then, after Casey is bound, basically, Mag is able to outsmart him by just simply being, well, I guess less of an idiot compared to the other characters. And then it's just so funny, though, where she knew Mag and she knew that things were... She knew that she liked this kind of stuff. It's weird. It's like she was just pretending to be somebody. It's pretty much what it was. Casey was recording this whole damn thing. And then eventually the tables got turned. Mag got tossed over the side into the water. And suddenly everything's okay. Davey's dead, but I guess Rowan will have his recording contract, and she's in Malibu or somewhere, and says this one cabana boy, didn't we used to date? And that is it for Hag. I guess that was a movie. It wasn't awful, but it was like collection of parts of other movies, and I don't know, Human Centipede together, stitched together weirdly. I put up a low review on Letterboxd. I mean, when I say F, I'm not giving it an F like slandering it. It's just, to me, it's below 2.5 stars. So anything below 2.5 stars ends up getting an F. And it's not awful. I think everybody had fun making it. At least I hope they did. I thought there were good pieces here, but I just didn't feel it gelled, and it went on too long. So agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentlin. Until we stalk an old flame again, don't do that, kids. It's illegal. Happy trails to you.